Okay, let's just settle into a nice, comfortable seated posture. Also, if you wish, put yourselves on gallery, then you get a sense of meditating in a group. You don't have to do that, but um, yeah, you get a sense of meditating with one another. Have your feet flat on the floor if you're sitting at your desk, and otherwise, have your knees supported underneath a couple of cushions if you are sitting in the cross-legged position and your hips are tight. And sit on a little something to raise up your coccyx, your sits bones. Shoulders are aligned with the hips and ears, as best you can, aligned with your shoulders. And then now imagine your spine is this just really beautiful string of pearls of light that stretches from the base all the way up through the crown of the head. So beyond where the actual physical spine stops. And just imagine this little piece of string of pearls of light is being lengthened. And also imagine it's not a regular string of pearls of light. Perhaps this string of pearls of light is luminous and transparent. You can come to the crown of the head and just relax your scalp, release any tension there. You might feel some sensation. You can relax the forehead, the eyebrows, the eyes, the nose and cheeks, the mouth, the back of the tongue, the jaw, the ears, the inner ear, the temples. Relax the back of the head, the neck. Allow your shoulders and shoulder blades to drop down and relax the throat, the chest, the belly, and your limbs, arms. And just release any tension in your hands and just have them resting in your lap, on your thighs, in the meditation mudra. What's working for you this morning, and then just release any tension in the legs and feet. Just notice if your toes are wriggling. And bring your attention to the sensations of the breath. Inhalation and exhalation through the nostrils. And it's slightly cooler as you inhale, slightly warmer as you exhale. You may feel those sensations through the nostrils, the base of the nose, the side of the nose, and for some, even the tip of the nose. Perhaps you can also feel the breath sensations in the chest, the thoracic cavity. the diaphragm. And imagine you're exhaling into your back. The upper thoracic, the ribs behind you, not just a little area in the chest, but the whole of the rib cage expanding as the diaphragm drops as you breathe in, contracting as the diaphragm pushes the air out. And then you have this area of breath around the belly. So as you're meditating, choose one of those three. You don't have, I mean, it gets a bit confusing if you're doing all three at once, although you will notice the sensations. We do very, very subtly on some level. The other advantage about becoming more aware of your breath is that you'll notice when you're on your computer or on your phone or something like this, you'll notice when you actually kind of start holding your breath. Be aware of any extrasensory information in your environment, external information, like particularly sounds. They can be a little bit distracting as our mind goes off to check it all out. But try not to run off to investigate. Just allow the sounds to be there. Perhaps you can even smell something. Maybe there's the vibration of, I don't know, sometimes you can feel traffic vibrates the room, other people in the house, pets. Just allow all of this information that you're picking up just to be there. And then focus on your mind. Just check in with yourself. How are you doing today? And put some space in between the thoughts. Be curious. And bring to mind all the people of your life, your loved ones, your strangers, and then those people, excuse me, in your life who might be slightly irritating. Maybe they harmed you. You just have aversion for these people. You prefer not to interact with them. And regardless of how you feel about all of these people, you know, probably everybody here's had this experience of the friend becoming the stranger becoming the friend, the enemy becoming the friend, stranger, friend becoming the enemy. They're interchangeable, can be. But they're all equal. They all want to be happy. They don't want to suffer. And they all have this extraordinary capacity for this Buddha mind. They all also are going to die. Just like you and me. At some point, our lifespan will finish. So here we do a simpler dissolution process this morning. So we get to practice, you know, this process of the body dissolving, almost becoming, the cells becoming still, so that when that death process does start to happen, we're a little bit more familiar with what's going on. It won't be maybe quite so strange, maybe unusual. So what I noticed last night visiting Judith, now she's 92 and she's had this accident and she's in extended care, and she's getting a lot better. But what she's starting to experience, and it's been a slow process over a number of years, is a desire or a loss of interest in the samsaric world. I mean, her world is shrinking. So it's almost as if before the actual earth element in our body starts to dissolve, the external world starts to shrink and becomes still. And often people say, oh, that person's lost interest. Mm, it really is a matter of they're just going inward. So let's start with the earth element. What is the earth element? The physical components of our bodies. So they're the bones and the organs, the connective tissue, the cells. So imagine everything dissolving, all the cells beginning to shrink. They're continuously in motion, but they slow down, coming to stillness. Earth. And as the earth element dissolves, and then this process of the water element starting to dissolve starts, you'll see this internal sign of the appearance of mirages. You'll see a mirage, a shimmering. Then water. What is water? It's all the fluids in the body. Blood and lymph, cerebrospinal fluid, saliva, the urine. All of this is continuously moving. And imagine all of that water, the fluid movement, slowing down and coming to stillness. Water. And as the water element dissolves and the fire element begins to dissolve, the internal sign is the appearance of smoke. So fire is the warmth in the body. The heart and the blood are continuously moving. The blood is constantly generating warmth, distributing it throughout the body. The heart's beating. Now imagine all of this is the warmth is beginning to dissipate and the body becomes cold, becoming still. Fire. And as the fire elements dissolved, and then this process of the air element starts to dissolve. The internal sign is the appearance of fireflies or sparks within that smoke. And then air. Air is the respiration and the breath. Our breath begins to get shallow and then stops. There will be an inhale and an exhale. There'll be no more movement of air through the nose or the lungs. Oxygen is no longer delivered to every cell in the body. And imagine slowing the breath down into stillness. Air. And the internal sign is the appearance of a sputtering candle about to go out as the air element has kind of dissolved, and then the consciousness element starts to dissolve. So the air element, this is stage 4, is where you are declared dead in the hospital or wherever you are. It's when the breath stops. But really you're only halfway through the process. And this is why they suggest not to move the body of a person who's stopped breathing, not to touch their feet, because the mind at this point is very, very subtle. So there can be a fifth element, consciousness, the subtle mind that exists below the conscious level dissolves. No thoughts, no concepts. Gross and subtle levels of consciousness have now dissolved into stillness. And the internal sign is clear white light, as brilliant as freshly fallen snow, glistening in the sun. So now imagine, out of compassion and care for others, excuse me, you regenerate the energy of the earth, water, fire, and air, and consciousness elements, and propel all the components of a human being back into shape, form, and energy. So all the elements are dissolved and re-energized out of compassion for others. And if you do this meditation regularly, if you even think about, this process, it can be done really in 5 minutes, even less. If you think about it every day, or regularly even, not even just every day, maybe a few times a week, but over a period of time, you will start to develop an appreciation of impermanence, the transient nature of our life. I think we get so wrapped up in the world we're in, we sort of forget. And then we get a little bit shocked when things change. So, from a biological level, the cells die and are regenerated. Neurons fire and stop firing. Thoughts arise and dissolve. And you experience that in your meditation. In the morning when you wake up and you're thinking one thing, by the evening, your mind has changed. So when we appreciate impermanence, anything we use to identify ourselves changes momentarily. We start to understand that. So earth, water, fire, air, consciousness, and physical, non-physical are just momentary fluctuations. It's always moving, fluctuating. So the self we project onto that is our choice. As Lama Yeshe always said, you do have the power. And if that is so, that's a choice, we do have the power, then there is more freedom. We have freedom. That is freedom. So let's just quickly dedicate all the merit we've created, any insight we may have had, to all these people of our life, by extension, all sentient beings, your precious teachers, and just a quick mention for Jolene. Mary, thank you so very much for hosting. Lots of love, everybody. And I will see you tonight